Jonnet Middleton is an artist and researcher based in the West Midlands. This film follows Jonnet as she begins her latest project, Unity Panda.
We received Shirley about 3 years back. We're hoping to set up a breeding colony here at Dudley Zoological Gardens.
I love giraffes, look how tall they are, look how tall the house is.
Smells like French cheese.
Smells French cheese?
Yeah. Ali Reesley's coming down here, yeah. So this is Yang, he's the red panda at Dudley Zoo, and yeah, he's really, really cute, but he's not a black and white giant panda, is he? And because I used to be disappointed that there weren't any real pandas at Dudley Zoo, my parents used to take me all the way down to London Zoo to see Ching Ching and Cha Cha, and I used to go there really often. But in the meantime, I used to come here to Dudley Zoo. Here he is, look. So what you used to do, we used to go on the train all the way down to London, and we'd get to Regent's Park, London Zoo, really early in the morning, and we'd be one of the first ones in. And I would just go straight to the panda enclosure, and I can remember where it was. You went through the entrance, it was really soon at the entrance, and I just used to stay there. My parents couldn't tear me away, so they just used to leave me. And they'd go off and see all the other animals. I'd got no interest, and I'd just sit right in front of the panda cage all day, and I was so happy. It was just bliss. My fascination with pandas started when I was about 6 months old, when I was given a little cuddly panda, and I think that that's where it all comes from. That was the first animal that I was given when I was a little baby, and I think that's all there is to it. Unity Panda all comes from this pattern here, which I found on eBay about 5 years ago and absolutely fell in love with it. When I bought this pattern, I never really thought about actually knitting it. It was just a beautiful object. And then I joined Stitches and Hose, which is the local knitting group in Birmingham. And I was thinking, now what am I going to knit? And I thought, well, perhaps I could do a scarf or something really typical. And then I had this light bulb moment that, no, I'm going to knit my panda. And so this beautiful object transformed into some instructions for how to actually make something. So that's when I started making it, and I had such fun. It was just a really beautiful moment when I started knitting, and I thought, oh, today I've actually managed to do half of his head. And so that was where the birth of the Unity Panda project started, when I realised that perhaps other people would want to enjoy doing it as well. This is the Panda shop in the city centre of Coventry. It's in City Arcade, and we've opened to the public this morning for the first time. And we're already full of shoppers and some friends and helpers that are coming here to knit the 24 parts of the panda. So what happens is a shopper walks through the door, and I greet them, ask them what sort of panda part they'd like to knit, depending on whether they're an expert or not. I take their name down in the panda registration book. I take a photograph of them, which becomes a tweet pic, goes onto the Facebook page, and then we start collating metadata about what part they're knitting and how long it takes them to do it, how old they are, and then that gives us a real picture of who's doing what and how the pandas are being created. Yeah. I identified two groups, elderly ladies who'd got knitting skills and a lot of time on their hands, some of which perhaps not got that much to do in the evenings, and a big influence there was my nan, whose social life is getting really reduced as she gets older. And also the young group of knitters, the quite fashionable knitting circles that meet in knitting groups, that are doing knitting for more of a social purpose. So, how did you get on with knitting up this model?
All right.
Yeah.
Very easy, really. Yeah.
It's a funny sort of thing.
It doesn't look quite like a panda yet, does
Not
it?
yet, not yet. It's got no
no.
ears, got no base on it yet. It's got no arms on it.
You've knitted up all the pattern pieces for the
Yeah.
first panda, for our model.
Yeah.
And we've got to get him looking a bit more like that.
Well, I'm trying to
I mean,
so-
you've done a good job so far. We're not doing bad. Could be worse. I'm sure it'll look like a panda in the end. Look, get a couple of little ears on it. You see?
Yes, it's the latest addition to the zoo, a giant panda. He has rather an astonished look, as if he's always busy and can't quite make out why people want to interfere with him. Don't bother me. Our camera was there asking him to look at the dicky bird, but he's so shy.
So all these panda things are all the things that I've kept all my life. I've been collecting panda things since I was really little. When I was 8 years old, I started a scrapbook, and this is where I kept all the cuttings about Ching Ching and Cha Cha when they were trying to have a baby at London Zoo, and Ching Ching was fighting for her life, and I was really sad, and so I kept all the cuttings out of the paper and documented them and wrote my own little comments. So I kept this scrapbook for several years, and even since then, all my adult life I've been keeping all the cuttings that I've ever seen out of the newspapers on pandas. That's my drawing of my big panda.
Poole Airport sees the arrival of the BOAC flying boat carrying a very important person. Cameramen are ready with a royal reception for this long-awaited visitor from the Far East. And here, in person, is Miss Unity, the new giant panda for the London Zoo. All this publicity is just a trifle worrying, and Unity bashfully hides her head until the excitement dies down. However, it isn't long before she arrives at her new address, Regent's Park, London, where a palatial home awaits her. Yes, everything seems fine, but all these bars don't help one to relax.
At the same time that I started thinking about the project, a whole series of coincidences started to happen, which were just really beautiful and really fitted in. And the first one was finding out what a Unity panda is. And that was when I saw on a YouTube clip a lovely going away ceremony of all these little Chinese kids dressed up as pandas when China donated 2 pandas to Taiwan last Christmas. And they were called Unity Pandas. And suddenly I thought, that's my Unity Pandas. And so I thought, that knitting pattern that I bought off eBay 5 years ago must be to commemorate some Unity Pandas back in the past.
So if I wanted 100 stitches, that's me. 100, right? And I start here.
So
Are you
it's
ready?
never exactly 100. It's just roughly 100.
Which had a tail like that hanging
Right.
after. 100.
These days, there's like a fashion for young people to get together in groups in pubs or in places and knitting shops, and they knit together as a group, and it's quite a social thing. So when you learnt to knit, did you knit together, say in the family or with girlfriends?
No. Just your family.
Really?
Yes, yes. No. There's no togetherness in them days. Just as your family and that's it. You know.
So we're just trying to make as many as possible, and they've got 24 parts each. Those are all the parts of one panda.
You have that pattern.
So everyone does one part and then someone's...
And then we knit them together. So instead of one person knitting their own panda, everybody does it as a group. Yeah. The Coventry Panda Shop is an example of offline knitting where members of the public walk through the door, get together around the panda knitting table and start knitting collaboratively. They can help each other out. Experts can teach beginners how to knit or can remind rusty knitters how to cast on. And then the other part of the project is the online Unity Panda, which is accessed via unitypanda.com. People can download all the patterns and find top tips, see how the project's going on. There'll be videos and photographs uploaded regularly so that globally as many people as possible will start knitting Unity Pandas, and that's when the project will really go viral.
Yes, he's a good boy again. He's proud of himself, but pride goeth before a fall.
I can't sit still. I've got to be on the move, you know. I don't do much reading. It takes me a whole week to read me paper. One paper, whole week.
Ah, well, I read that in an evening with the paper.
Well, I don't. I watch my telly till it goes off, 12:30, 1 o'clock or something like that. Then I switch and I'll have a quiet half hour then, and I can have another knit.
I have to do my Sudoku.
Yeah.